Daniel, great to have you on the podcast, man.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here, man. So it's
Yeah,
really nice to get the chance to speak with you.
dude, it's my honor. Yeah, I've been following you for like, I don't know how long you've been on Instagram, probably since you started. Because
Yeah, yeah, it's
you look like you're 17.
at
So
least like 2000, at least 2014. I get that a lot. So
really?
thank
Yeah, how old are you?
I'm gonna be 34 next month.
Shut up.
Yeah, yeah.
What the
Got a
freak, dude?
I got a baby face, so
Yeah, man. Holy cow. What's your nationality? What's your ethnicity?
I am Mexican plus Japanese, which
Oh, okay.
equals Indian. So
Wait. Oh, it ends up looking Indian? Is that what you said?
so I don't look at Indian, so I get Indian a lot.
That's
Uh,
so funny.
I'm very just like a generic brown person, but yeah, I'm Mexican and Japanese.
I only ask because, like, I feel like we white people are cursed because the sun is harder on us, just beats down and burns our skin to death.
Sure, yeah.
Freaking sucks, especially those poor redheads.
Oh no, yeah.
But that Indian crack you just made, or joke, not toward Indians, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, that reminds me, I don't know if you even find this interesting, but the craziest thing happened to a friend of mine. So we have these friends who adopted a girl around the same time my wife and I had our twins, like 21 years ago. And she adopted her from a Mexican mother, and the kid was raised Mexican. Like, she's a Mexican girl, beautiful Mexican girl. And anyway, then this whole 23andMe thing started happening. And she decided, you know what the heck? I've never met my dad, like my biological dad. So she got her DNA done. And she found out she's not Mexican at all. She's 100% Indian
Yeah,
from India.
yeah, yeah.
Like, this like threw her completely for a loop. She's like 18 years old at the time. Her whole life she's adopted this Mexican culture, and then she gets her DNA done. She's like, I'm from India? What the
Yeah.
heck, man?
I had a very similar experience. Same thing with 23andMe. Like I was kind of raised believing that I was half Mexican, half Filipino, and then it turns out I'm actually half Mexican, half Japanese. So
Really? Are you adopted
yeah,
too?
yeah, it threw me off. Like because my grandmother on my mom's side is from the Philippines, but I guess her percentage of Filipino was like very small, and her mother was Chinese and her father was Japanese.
Weird how that DNA stuff works.
Yeah,
Anyway,
totally.
let's talk art.
Yeah, let's go for
So
it.
I mentioned to you earlier, but you were the first person. I think you were the first person who I ever bought a painting from. Actually, I guess for you it was mixed media, which we'll get into. It pretty much everything you do is mixed media, but off the internet. And and it was that figure. I wish I should have taken a picture of it. I wonder if it's even on your website still. Do you know if that one's still on your website or on your Instagram?
Let's look at my website. It's
No, I've
danielseagrove.com.
got it pulled up. I'm gonna scroll through your Instagram. I wonder if it's still here. Dude, I can't scroll through your Instagram because I want to buy everything here.
You should. Let me know.
If I could afford it, I would, dude. I'd be your main patron if I could afford to be.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
There it is. That's it. That's my piece right there. Well, your piece. I own it, so I've adopted it. But
Yeah, and
yeah.
that was like a pretty pivotal piece for me where I felt like I was finally like grasping onto like my aesthetic or my style, you know? Um, I think like a lot of artists and like I listen to your podcast too, where you kind of have this in common where we were like really hard on ourselves and like all the art, we're just not happy with it. But that was like one piece was like, hey, actually, I could look at this and not feel bad, you know?
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, I love it. It's hanging in the hall, like really prominent in my house. Freaking love it. But one day I am going to buy more of yours. Yeah, okay, your prices have gone up a bit, which is great for you, but
Yeah.
harder on the poor people like me. But I'm happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about how you got started in this whole art thing. I'm curious what your background is.
Yeah. So, like most artists I started at like a very young age, but not like in a traditional sense. Like, I think me and my friends, when I was like in probably like second or third grade, we would kind of read Mad Magazine and we would draw like the comic strips,
Mm-hmm.
especially like Spy vs. Spy. So we would do that a lot. Um, Also, I was kind of like a pretty mischievous kid growing up too. So a lot of times I would have to do these things because like I went to Catholic school
Mm-hmm.
from like kindergarten all the way up to my senior year of high school, and I would get trouble like all the time, just like being a class clown and stuff. But they would make me write lines. Are you familiar with lines? Or it's like you ever see the opening to The Simpsons and like Bart's writing like I will not do this or I will not do that,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So like
Yeah.
that's what I would do like almost every day because I would
Are
get
you
in trouble,
serious? You're
right?
that bad?
That was really bad. Um, and I think that kind of developed my dexterity for art
Are you
because
serious?
I would have to write like almost every single day. But like also teachers would just be like, because I was such an annoying student, like they would just pick on me sometimes. I remember I had to do lines for I will not sweat too much during recess because
What?
because I like just like
Are,
so they
are
just
you
pick on
are
me
you
and
a
I would do
major sweater, or are they just totally giving you crap?
like I don't know what it was. I was just like having fun on recess, right? But yeah, I also granted like I was a really annoying kid.
So what
Um,
kind of stuff would you do to get on your teacher's nerves?
oh, everything. Like I would just like if they put me next to anyone, like that student will now become my source of dopamine. And I would just like constantly talk to them or like try to make them laugh or just disrupt them, right? Like just distract them. So they
Yeah.
would actually grab my desk and take it away from the classroom and face me towards like the wall. So I directly look at the wall. And they would just give me a piece of paper and a pencil, and I would just draw all the time. So like that's
Really?
how I kind of spent most of my time during school. And it was funny, like I still got good grades, right? Even though I wasn't paying attention to what the class was teaching.
Right.
Um, yeah, I remember they tested me like 3 times for ADHD, and each time the report came back was like, no, he's fine. He's just annoying, you know. He just
You're
likes
just,
to be.
it sounds like you're bored out of your mind at school.
Yeah, yeah, I was. Um, But yeah, like moving past that, like I still had that same energy in high school, but it wasn't until my junior year where I was able to start taking art classes. And that's where my whole personality just like flipped.
Art classes in high school or
Yeah, in
outside
high
of high
school,
school?
right? So
Okay.
like an art class, it was like an intro to art, and then I took the next level, like whatever, the senior art class too.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I found that, that was like the thing that really focused me in and like my whole attitude changed. I wasn't like trying to distract people. I wasn't trying to be like the class clown anymore. I was just like really focused into this passion that I found. And from there, I kind of continued that through college. And then in college, I was working really hard. Like I went to Academy of Art University, and
Where's
they had
that?
this building in San Francisco.
Okay. Is that
So
where
I
you
went,
are today?
yeah, yeah, I'm still in San
Okay.
Francisco. So I went there, and yeah, like that building, the art building was like my second home for like painting and drawing. Like if I wasn't at home painting, I was at that building painting. Um, because I think growing up too, like all my teachers telling me like, oh, you're such a screw up and all this stuff, that I kind of internalized that. And I was like so afraid that in college, if I did anything outside of like just focusing and working on my artwork, that I would like end up messing up my life.
Wait a
So I
minute.
was
So
like,
you're telling me that all that negative reinforcement actually paid off for you?
it did. Right? What that worked.
So
Um,
much for all that psychological mumbo
exactly.
jumbo out there.
Um, but like, so then like, because I had so much, I don't know, like if I got that out of my system at a very young age,
Mm-hmm.
that like I almost entered my college years, like I was entering in my 30s or something, right? Like my 40s, right? Right. I took it like very serious. I was very like up and up. I didn't go out and party. I didn't drink. I didn't do any of that. I just kind of like focused on school and
Wow.
drawing. Yeah. Because for me, like I was very aware of this thing I was trying to pursue, right? Like
So did
art.
you see it as a career at this point, a potential career? Or were you just
No,
trying to
it's
get good at a craft?
just trying to get good at a craft, right? Because I
Okay.
knew it's something very difficult. And as someone who kind of like never took anything seriously in my life, like art was kind of like my religion too.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a very like spiritual thing for me. Like it's very like cathartic. So for me, it's like I knew I didn't want to add to the noise of like convoluted or like bad art, right? Like I wanted to be something like serious and something that was like really meaningful. Um, so yeah, just like dedicated my whole like from 18, like all my 20s to just like trying to get better at art.
Wow, man.
Mm.
That's wild. But you didn't do it with just to be clear, you didn't do it because you were afraid of starving to death. You were just doing it because you really wanted to be good and that's it? That was your only motivator?
That was it. Like again, like for me, it wasn't like a career choice, right? And I've mentioned this on like with other people. Like it was just this kind of this progress of my life, right? Like I always was drawing art, so
Yeah.
I was just continue doing art, right? Whether I make money doing it or not making money, I would just continue doing it.
Right.
Um, because like it's like I don't want to be attached to the more material aspects of art and like making art. I want to be more attached to the more like genuine meaning of art for me.
Right. Man, that's wild. That might be the first time I've heard that. I mean, exactly like that. Because I think a lot of people I've spoken to, a lot of people, I mean, on the podcast and otherwise, have that little voice in their head, like, I got to make this work, or I don't know how I'm going to make a living. I guess there's a group of artists that I've interviewed that are like, no, and maybe you're in this camp, correct me if I'm wrong. They're like, I don't care if I'll make a living, I'll just get a job. As long as I'm good at art, I can keep doing art. Is that kind of the camp you're in?
100%.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you didn't even worry about it. You're like, I don't even have a problem with just getting a side gig because my focus is just do art for art's sake. And the side gig, I'll just get a side gig. I'm not even gonna worry about it. That's okay.
I would say for at least for the first couple years, because I did do it full time for 6 years. Like I was really trying to like just make that my main source of income. But I never was like opposed to like, oh, if I need to work part time doing like a cashier or whatever, I'll do that, right?
Right, right.
Like I've worked like many like little odd jobs like here and there. So that was never an issue because again, like I just wanted to make art. Like money wasn't the purpose, I guess.
Did you ever think though that if you focus all your time on art, you're not going to develop any lucrative skills that could support your art hobby? You know, where everyone
Definitely.
else is going to school for engineering or
Yeah,
medicine
yeah.
or marketing, you're like just focused on art, and now you have to be a cashier, which
Mhm,
barely pays for the groceries, right?
mhm, mhm.
Like, did that ever concern you, or were you just
Not really. Like
tunnel
again,
vision?
like I 100% tunnel vision. I didn't really care about like material things like oh I gotta get a nice car, I gotta get a nice
Okay.
clothes, I do this like that's just it doesn't interest me, right? Like the only thing that interested me was how do I figure out this thing that like keeps me up at night, which is like what is life and like how does art answer life and how do I kind of find this like genuine thing that just keeps me moving because outside of art because I've had like now like this little break in my art career too, and I
Yeah, I
feel
want to
like
talk about that. Are you comfortable talking about that?
oh yeah, yeah, I'll get to that too.
Okay. And
Um,
let me just say why I want to talk about that,
mm,
because what you know, but a lot of people don't know, is you were one of the first people I asked to interview. Because
really,
yeah,
yeah,
well, you must remember. I mean, if you've been watching the podcast, you know I
mhm,
asked you like 2 years ago. It's only been
yeah,
3 years.
yeah,
And so, but you weren't ready. You were like, no, I'm going through this thing and I'm not feeling like an artist or something.
mhm,
And I'm like, no, that's the man. That's like the guy. That's the guy I've
yeah,
been wanting to buy everything he does. How could he feel that way?
it,
And then I reached out to you just recently and you're like, okay, I think I'm ready to do this thing. So I'm really curious on what was going on, but I don't want to jump ahead.
no, no, I kind of want to build off of that just because
Yeah, I don't want to jump ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
but just like real quick because like me taking this pause off of art like maybe it's the artist in me trying to like read into things too much, right? But you were one of the first people that bought one of my artworks when I first graduated.
No joke.
Yeah, and you that was like one of the sales that made me feel like I can actually be an artist, right? Like I actually maybe do this like as a real thing, you know?
Really?
And
That's
then
cool.
when you contacted me, I just started to get like a actual 5 day week, like 9 to 5.
Hmm.
I think I was working for like a month or something. And like I hit this point where it's like, maybe I should do this and just like build momentum and get like a regular job and everything. And like I think it was the day or the next day you contacted me like saying like, hey, we should do a podcast and like talk about your art and like what's
Really?
yeah. So I've been having these like very weird like I don't know if it was like coincidences or synchronicity, fate, whatever you want to call it, but I have these like weird experiences where I could feel like it trying to pull me back to like being an artist again. So
Yeah. No
mm.
joke, man. I'm glad I could be part of that because you got to be painting and drawing, man.
Thank you.
Dude, don't ever give up.
Mm.
That would be a sad thing for the world. Seriously. So, okay, tell me well, I want to hear a little bit more about what you were feeling like back then and then how you recovered from it and where you're at now.
Yeah, well, it wasn't like one major experience or anything. It was just like all these like little things that just finally caught up with me, right? So it's like as I told you, like early on as an artist, I really devoted like everything to it, right? To the
Mm-hmm.
point where it's like almost unhealthy, right? Or not
Mm-hmm.
almost, it was unhealthy. Like there would be like weeks where I wouldn't speak, like I wouldn't talk to anyone because I'm just inside like working, right? Like
Really?
maybe I was like texting my girlfriend at the time or texting my parents, but like not actually like verbally communicating to people.
Texting your girlfriend? You didn't even see your girlfriend half the time?
Well, I did long distance for like 6 years with her.
Oh,
I have a
geez.
kid
How
now.
long distance?
Oh, dude, like if she lived any farther, she'd be closer, right? Like she was on the other side of the world,
No
right? Yeah,
way.
in South Korea. So it was
What?
very, very long, right?
Yeah.
We would see each other maybe like 4 weeks out of the year. So she would come visit me for 2 weeks, and I would go visit her for
Are
two
you
weeks.
married to this girl now?
Yeah, yeah, we're married.
That's your wife?
Yep.
Dude, what a story. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Um, but so like I was doing things to like really focus on art, but I wasn't taking care of myself. Um, then in 2019 is when we finally decided to get married. And then of course a couple months later the pandemic hits.
Mm.
And like so like I feel like because for me, like as an artist, it was always a feast or famine, right? Like for my opportunities. Either I didn't have anything or it just came all at once, right?
Yeah.
And finally, like when I was deciding to get married, I finally had some like real stability. Like the sales were good. I had like a teaching job at like two different colleges, so like I was getting like all these classes. So like money was good. I was like, all right, we're stable. Let's get married. And bam, the pandemic hits, and like I can't get any more classes. I can't sell anything, right? Like
It
everyone, and I
really
understand
affected you, the pandemic, sales
it really
wise.
did. Yeah.
Really?
And I get it, right? Like everyone trying to focus more on essentials. Like I was still selling like here and there, but like not enough to
Mm-hmm.
now make it income to cover my expenses and now her expenses, right? Because she just moved here, so she has to go look for a job and like get adjusted to everything, right? So it was a lot for me. And so I was like, okay, I can't get any classes. So I started doing I started doing like a bicycle delivery. I was doing like deliveries on my bicycle, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like I was doing deliveries on like a very old steel bike from like the 70s where it had like it's called like suicide shifters where the shifters were on the stem. So like to actually like change gears, you have to like let go of the steering.
Oh, yeah. I remember
Uh,
those. Yeah.
and I was doing it in San Francisco. So I was hitting all those hills.
Oh, dude.
I was doing like maybe 40 to 50 miles a day. And I was also teaching at the time too, just trying to keep afloat, right?
So,
And
wait,
that's
so your
like,
girlfriend had moved at this point?
yeah, yeah. So like she's already living with me.
Okay.
Already made like all these promises, like, oh, everything's gonna be good, like, sweet talking her. And and now it's here and I have to like back it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So so I'm trying to like keep afloat because during the pandemic, like everything switched to online. And since I was adjunct faculty, I wasn't like full time. So like I was like one of the teachers that they would cut first. So money wise, it was like it really took a dip. And I had a lot of money saved up too at the time, but I didn't want to like use that to like sustain everything. So I was like, okay, like I'm kind of panicking. Like, let me just do this gig work too. Um, but yeah, doing that as well, like being a courier or like doing deliveries on my bike, it taught me a lot as far as like what I thought what I was doing was hard work. Like, no, no, no. Like that was hard work, Jeff. Like doing 50 miles a day just covered in sweat and like having to having like deliveries like just spill over my back sometimes and just like pushing through that just because I have to make money, right? That
Hmm.
like really, really grounded me. It was almost like I don't know how to say it. Like it was very like transformative in like a in a suffering way, right?
Did it make
And
you feel like you could deal with anything?
yeah,
Yeah.
because like, I also had like I only did this for like 6 months, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Before I decided like, okay, this is like not sustainable. Let me just get like a 9 to 5, reduce my suffering, right? And just like find some stability. And but I remember doing that and like I had like at least 4 or 5 like near death experiences
On
while I
your
was doing that
bike?
job. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
When you say near death, do you mean you're literally in a bed, like seeing lights, or you just got close
No,
to
no, no,
being
like
hit or something?
coming close to being hit,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Like
Yeah.
coming close to being hit, like having guns pulled on me, like going through like drug markets, right? Like really like sketchy stuff, right?
Seriously.
Yeah, it's very sketchy. And talking about it now and looking back, it's like I don't even know like who that guy was and like how he went through that, you know? And but for me too, like I think these experiences, like going through that, kind of like overcoming, you know, all these fears as far as like money wise, I do think like I could kind of tackle anything now. And I want to kind of keep that momentum for my artwork, but I'm still just trying to save up a little bit more money before I kind of commit to it like 100% again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's smart. Do you still have that savings, or did you end
Yeah,
up
yeah.
tapping into it? You
No, no,
do.
I've kept the savings and I've grown it like a lot since then. So
Really good for you,
yeah,
man. That's great and remarkable because you live in freaking San Francisco. I don't know how you're doing it. Why?
yeah.
If you're struggling, I've asked a lot of people this who live in New York, San Francisco, wherever. Why? Why would you live in a expensive city when you're worried about paying bills? Why not just move somewhere reasonable?
Um, I'm probably going to pretty soon, right? That's like kind of part of the saving, right?
Okay.
But also like all my family's out here. Besides the how expensive it is in San Francisco, I do love it here.
Yeah.
I love the weather. I love the people out here. Of course, San Francisco has its issues, but it's a really beautiful city to live in.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been there. I've been there once. I've been in the area. Well, I've been all around there. Like we went through Redwoods and then came down. But the craziest thing about Northern California that I experienced was we went to this campground. I can't remember what it was called, but we're setting up our trailer and everything. And I start hearing barking and we
Hmm.
walk through like 10 foot of thick, you know, trees and brush to a cliff edge. And the barking were seals all over the beach. We didn't even know there was a beach there. It was such thick, dense trees and brush that we didn't even know we were at the edge of a cliff full of seals. I'm like, dude, this is paradise, man.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was so beautiful. I've never seen anything like it. So I could see why the draw,
Yeah, because
like
there's a
staying
lot of like
there.
little beautiful places like that, like everywhere, like sprinkled in the city, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, man, Utah's got its own beautiful stuff. If you ever want to come out this way, it's a heck of a lot cheaper than San Francisco.
I'll
Although
check it
it's
out.
getting up there. Salt Lake's getting up there, though. It's pretty bad. It's getting pretty bad.
Mhm.
But all right. So right now your plan is to just keep working for a little while, put a little more money in the bank.
Mhm.
And then once you get a nice fat cushion, then you're going to go back into full-time art. That's your
Exactly.
plan.
Kind of find somewhere where I could grow roots where it doesn't feel like so much pressure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't know, it might still be in California, maybe just like moving south a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the main thing too is like kind of having stability just in my life, financially with my relationship and then like with my artwork too. Because the whole time, like I haven't, even though I haven't been like creating as much as I have in the past, I'm still like writing about art all the time. I'm still thinking about it all the time.
Writing about art? What do you
Yeah,
mean by
yeah, just
that?
like
You
just
write?
like journaling, like ideas about art and like what art means to me, and
Really?
doing thumbnails of like all these ideas that I still have, right? Because the thing is, Jeff, like even though and like why I kind of knew I couldn't quit being an artist is just because like every time I try to stop, like I just get these like flood of ideas that like I need to make, right? And a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
like, I'll see like the whole like I don't know how like you get inspired, Jeff, but like for me, I see like the whole image in my head. Like so the whole
Mm-hmm.
composition, like the figure, like everywhere where it needs to be. And I just try to figure out like how do I try to match that. And a lot of
Does it
times like
come out of nowhere or is it something that you build in your head? Take a
um
little of this, a little of that, and you create it in your head. Or is it just bam, inspiration? Like there's an image. It showed itself to me. This episode is brought to you in part by Rosemary Brushes. If you're one of my listeners who's a professional artist, you're already using Rosemary brushes. But for the rest of you, come on. Take your work a little more seriously. Stop buying the other brands. It's just not worth it. Every now and then you may get lucky and buy a good brush from another brand, but use the brand that professionals like myself are using. Go to rosemaryandco.com, link in the description or the show notes, and get yourself some quality brushes before your next painting.
Probably a mixture of both.
Okay. Because I'm
Like
the
sometimes-
former.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
definitely see things in my head, but what I'm doing is literally building a painting in my head.
Mhm.
And I'm the same way with everything. With anything I build, it's always in my head first until it's clear, and then I create it. But I rarely have an image just pop into my head, like some sort of vision. And I've heard of people having that, and can't remember a time where that's happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but that does happen to you on occasion.
It does. Well, I see that just like the whole image, like almost like someone's already made the artwork and they're just like showing it to me.
Really?
Mhm.
Huh. So I'm going to switch screens here because I want people to start seeing some samples of your work if they're not familiar. But dude, like when I look at art from artists like you, I mean, you're a very rare breed. And there are other artists that I think are in your camp. Like, are you familiar with Galucho?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
I
my
love his.
gosh, dude. That's another one.
I mean, like all Spanish painters. Like I don't know what's going on
What
over
is
there.
up with Spain, man?
They're doing
Yeah,
something.
you would fit in great in Spain. A lot of Spanish painters are doing really interesting things with mixed media, and also interesting things with like I suppose it's still mixed media, but weird stuff that would never occur to me, like ripping and burning paper that you're doing. Like what? Where in the heck do you come up with that stuff, and why is it okay? Why is that art? Like, I know it's art because I want to buy it and it moves me. So it's clearly art. But when you're making it, where do these sort of outside the box ideas generate from?
Like again, like a lot of times I have like the idea in mind. Uh for me too, like when I'm making art, I wanted to kind of balance with this kind of like emotional expression, right? Like it's a very cathartic experience for me. It's like one of those things like it's cheaper than therapy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so what I try to achieve with the work is I'm gonna try to like simplify it. I think of it in like two categories, right? There's like the aesthetic and there's the meaning.
Yeah.
And if I focus too much on the meaning, it becomes convoluted. And if I focus too much on the aesthetic, it becomes shallow, right? So what I'm trying to find is like a balance where the meaning is the aesthetic and the aesthetic is the meaning, right? Like it's one thing.
Hmm.
So, like it can't be one way or the other, right? It just is what it is, right? Like it can't exist without its all its components, right?
Yeah.
And then for me, that's where like the burning is the emotional release, but it's also the composition, right? The figure is over detailed, but it's also obstructed by, either, my marks I do or by the emotional narrative that I'm trying to create. Because that way it's not just this like style, it's something more. There's something, at least for me, there's something like deeper about it.
Yeah. Is that masking tape all over that one?
Let me see.
Can you see the screen?
There you go. Yeah, I see now.
Yeah, that one that just came up.
Yeah, so that was like masking tape.
Masking tape. And what about archivalness and stuff like that?
It's non-acidic
Oh, it
masking
is?
tape. Yeah.
So well, I look at your work, and so here's the thing about people like you that I admire so much. I feel like, for me personally, my strength is craft.
Mhm.
And I want to be better at the abstract side. I don't even mean literally making abstract elements. I mean, when I say abstract, I mean the design composition, that strength to have for designing composition without a narrative or representation. And I think that's really hard to do. To be a really great abstract painter is really hard to do. It's really easy to fake abstract painting, but it's hard to be a really good abstract painter. And because it's non-objective and you have no idea where your end goal is, because it is what it is. It's your end goal is where you end up. There's no finish line. It's just, you know what I mean? Whereas with painting a portrait, it's like, it looks like them, therefore it's good, right?
Mhm.
And so both are hard in their own way, because it's hard to make a portrait look like a portrait, very hard. But it's also hard to work in the non-objective, because you have no goal and it's just this big scary mystery.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
have both of those skills in spades, and that freaking drives me crazy. Like, I don't know how you have both of those things so strong. You could throw out the realism and still be a great abstract painter. You could throw out the abstract and still be a great realist. And
Mhm.
that's super rare, except in Spain. Like, it's like everywhere.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah. Exactly.
that's super rare. And there are others here in America and everywhere, but it's not that common. And I guess what I want to know is, how have you arrived there? And maybe it's an unanswerable question. Sometimes it's hard to analyze ourselves.
Mhm.
And what mental muscles have you exercised in order to be strong in both areas?
So at Academy of Art University, they had a real strong presence for academic work
Mm-hmm.
and academic classes like figure drawing classes, portrait drawing classes. And they would also have abstract classes, right? And a lot of the students would take them separately, like either you're an abstract artist or like you're a realist artist.
Mm-hmm.
And I would always like balance both. So when I was
But
taking
how did you
realist,
know to do that? Just because you were interested in both?
I just knew that was the goal, right?
So you were
from
interested in both. You knew from
yeah,
the start you wanted to be good at both.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Like I knew neither one was like the end goal. I kind of wanted to be this like the bridge or like the hybrid artist between both.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think both have their strong points, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can kind of somehow combine them, then it's going to be even a stronger artwork, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Um, but for me, it's like with abstraction, I don't think of it so much as like a narrative. It's more like music, right? It's like more like melody. So compositionally, I'm trying to look at it like a rhythm or like notes. Like if I'm putting something in a corner, or let's say if I'm adding a texture, it cannot just be in one spot. It needs to be like a rhythm. So it has to be in like multiple spots throughout
Mm-hmm.
the composition. Because it's like if I'm listening to like jazz music or something and there's just like one random cymbal that goes off, right? And it kind of throws off the composition. But like if you do it enough times in a certain area, it becomes a melody.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I see the abstraction within my artwork. That is more like music than more like me trying to say like, oh, this splatter is about my childhood, and I was like, blah 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 blah, right? Like that kind of idea, I guess.
Hmm. So that brings up another question: is how much you have talked about meaning, but meaning is oftentimes people use that very loosely. How
Hmm.
much meaning? In other words, if could you take any pieces of your work and say, this is about my life or how I was feeling this way? Or when you say meaning, do you mean, or is it more of a roundabout description of just the combination of, how do I put it? When you say meaning, are you just referring to how the painting feels as a completed work, how it comes off? Or are you saying meaning because it's some kind of narration of a past experience or a political agenda, or like, which is it?
So it's more of, I guess, the first one. Like when I say meaning, it's more of this I want to create an emotional response from the viewer,
Okay.
right? Like I don't want to like have too much of myself in the artwork as far as like my own personal experiences. It's more of like an well, how would I say this? It's like because there is some of it, right? Like it's more of like an approach, like almost like empathy, or like I've had these experiences too, and if I feel this way, then maybe you feel this way too.
Mm-hmm.
And if I could find the truth of that feeling, and like that's what I'm trying to go for, without it to being like, oh, like this is a feeling caused by, some kind of political thing, right? Or this is a
Mm-hmm.
feeling caused by some like racial thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just the thing that I'm focused on.
Hmm.
I like the emotion, like that kind of the starting point of it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I like that because that's what I get out of your work. I don't feel like it's particularly the piece that I have because I'm so familiar with it. It's sort of refreshing in that it's not forcing something down my throat, but yet it does inspire me daily. So in that sense, it has meaning because of the inspiration it provides.
Yeah, it's almost like I don't know, I'm very like paranoid of having like too much ego in the artwork,
Mm-hmm. Really? Why
right?
do you
Like,
suppose?
um, I
Is
don't know,
that
for me,
because
like
you've met people who put too much ego in their work and you want to avoid being that person?
uh, it's more that I think ego is like a distraction. Like ego is for me like this thing we build up to kind of hide our insecurities. And I think like for me, if I want to create vulnerable artwork that has I don't know, just like a deeper presence to it, then I can't do it by talking about myself or like kind of putting myself in there too much or like kind of
Mm.
saying like oh it's this thing because I experienced this thing, right? Or it's this thing because I'm like more emotionally deep or I'm like smarter because I went to this school or like whatever it is, right? Like it's not about that. It's about just how do I how do I ignore myself and focus on like the truth of it, like the truth of the emotion, I guess.
Huh. That's interesting. I like that. So are you saying in so many words that I had it in my head? Because I mean, I've never heard anyone talk about ego that way when it comes to art. So I think that's really profound. But are you saying that if you allow your ego to direct your art, that your art will be full of like preaching and lies to protect that ego than it will be authentic vulnerability?
Yeah, like again, like I'm also really rusty about talking about this too. It's been a while.
No,
But
and I'm not trying to say it in a better way. I'm trying to make sure I understand it, you know,
no,
because
no,
I,
no, like
yeah,
I'm saying too, like I'm trying to understand it with you.
yeah, okay.
Right.
We'll figure it out.
Um it's it's like you have to be detached from the outcome of it, right? Like I'm not making this thing so I could get into like some special gallery. I'm not making this thing so I could validate that, I'm a real artist or like things like that, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm making this thing because whatever is in me is telling me to make this thing, right? Like
So you would make this thing if you were the last man standing on the planet.
or if I made no money from it.
And yeah, because you don't, because
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if people even see it. You just want to make this thing.
Yeah, yeah. And I've met artists like that too, right? Like there's so
Mm-hmm.
many artists who just make art and don't even show it, right? And even for me, like I still make art and I just won't post it just because I don't post it doesn't mean the artwork doesn't exist or like it invalidates it, right? It's like it's still something that's like out there in the world, and it's something that's gonna like still help me grow to like create the other artwork or wherever I need to go as far as
Yeah.
creative direction.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that because I don't know if you've ever noticed, even with Instagram nowadays, you probably don't even see my account anymore.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
because I never post, like
yeah,
people probably think I don't paint. And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
because my paintings are the most vulnerable thing I do. I've got one account that is the things I make, and I've got no vulnerability in that at all. It's just like, yeah, I made a beehive, I made a bag, I made this. No big deal. Hey, everyone, look what I made. But when it comes to my paintings, I'm like scared to death to show them. They're like super vulnerable, or they make me feel super vulnerable. So I rarely even post, and that's
Mhm.
what I do for a living.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's so backwards.
I'm the same way. So like it's hard for me to post something that's vulnerable, right? And it's
Yeah.
like um that's why I don't post that much. I would say too, like a lot of the artworks that I make, I end up destroying anyways because I'm just not satisfied with it.
See, that was something I wanted to ask you because you do some nutty stuff,
Mm.
like this one that's up right now. where you burnt it and just spray painted it.
Mhm.
And I don't know where you get the guts to do it. And I wondered if you just decided a long time ago that you're going to mess up a lot of drawings in order to hopefully come up with some real gems.
Yeah, and like I have a very zoomed out look at like my art as far as
Yeah.
like career wise, right? Like how long it's gonna take me to like figure out this thing I want to do. Because I want also like to state that like everything I'm saying, I don't think I've really accomplished it. As far as like what I'm trying to achieve with my work. I know
Right.
like I'm so far away from
Yeah.
getting
We all feel that way.
right, you know? So for me, it's like me messing up these drawings is like that doesn't matter if I do that for 10 years because I'm thinking about, 50, 60 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just part of the process of it, right? Like that's why even now, like me taking this break, like I don't care if I'm out for 2 years, right? Like, so I'm still thinking about the 60 years, right? Like this part of me is so that I can sustain the other, 50 plus years I have left of making art.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, kind of like lost my train of thought there, but
Yeah. So did I. I forgot we were we were headed there. Oh, because part of me is just looking at your paintings and thinking about
yeah, me
all
too,
these
kind of like,
crazy things that you're doing, like wallpaper and whatnot stuck to them, and okay, yeah, this is where. And you were saying that, like, yeah, you might mess up a lot of drawings, but you're thinking about the long game. Like in 60 years, you might have thrown away 4,000 drawings, but you've made hopefully your goal. I think you've already done it, but in your mind, hopefully you've also made 4,000 masterpieces, so it was worth throwing away 4,000 to get there.
yeah, like I don't know if you're familiar with Agnes Martin, but
Mm-mm.
she um she worked for 20 years making art and like destroying it before she found like her meaning in her artwork, where she then spent 30 years making her the work that she's known for. So
Really?
like artists like that is like very inspiring to me, right? So like the fact that she just stuck with it for 20 years, and during those 20 years she knew that what she was making wasn't what she needed to be making, right?
Hmm.
And that's kind of I guess the camp I want to be in.
But when you're drawing, let's say this one with this. Who is this, by the way? Is that your wife
Oh,
that you
that's
keep
my
painting?
wife. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, because she's in a lot of your paintings. That's awesome. So let's say you're drawing a portrait of your wife,
Mhm.
and is that her too?
No.
Okay, I
Because
didn't think so.
when I first started out too, I was doing like fashion illustration a lot, so I had to like work with like models.
Oh, okay.
So like that was like early on, that was me still trying to figure out like how do I find my aesthetic while still like trying to make some money to like earn a living, right? And like that's how I started off with like fashion illustration, which is
Mm-hmm.
actually it's like my kind of first big break, I guess. And then over time, I'm just like slowly trying to add more, I guess, like a personal touch to it.
That makes sense. Okay, so let's say this. Let's take this one right here.
Oh, that's my cousin, yeah.
Is it? Okay, so I'm gonna just speculate as how you arrived at this. Actually, I can't. My assumption is that you just put a wash of red down, and then you put some gesso over that, and then you drew his face.
Yeah, that, but like reverse, I guess.
You drew his face first?
I know the gesso first, drew his face, and then I add the abstraction like after the fact.
Okay, I'm glad. I'm glad you said that because that's what I'm curious about. If it was in a different order, then it wouldn't be
Mhm.
relevant. So you got the gesso down. First of all, I don't know why you put white gesso on white. I want to hear about that too. Why you put white gesso on white paper. But it looks cool. But
Mhm.
then you draw this gorgeous drawing. I got to get my finger off of his face. You get this gorgeous drawing of this little boy. Aren't you, don't you feel like crap, man? If I put a wash on this, I could completely wreck it. And
Um,
and and what gives you the guts to do stuff like that?
because I do wreck them, and
Oh,
like
God. And
a
what do
lot
you
of
feel
times,
like when it happens? Are you just like
no,
pissed or are you
like
just
I mean,
used to it?
like I'm so used to it. Like a lot of these drawings that you see me making, this is like the third or fourth iteration of that drawing.
What?
Yeah, so like I've already like ruined it a couple times before I kind of arrived to this point.
How fast do you draw?
Not fast at all. That's why
Really?
like I feel like if I was actually like a I guess I don't know, like an artist who didn't take so much risks, I would have like so many more artworks on my
Yeah.
profile, right? That's why I think like because we're looking at my account was like over 10 years, and I think I only have like maybe still under like 400 posts, right? So
Hmm.
it's not that much like art coming out, right? In like the grand scheme of it, I guess.
Right.
And I think other artists too, right? Like I know you, for instance, like you take years completing like a painting, right?
Hmm.
So for me, being like, oh, I've ruined this drawing 3 or 4 times, that's only maybe like a month's worth of work, right? So like
Yeah, I suppose.
like if you think of it that way, it's not as risky, because it's still kind of ending up at like the same point as far as like a time frame with like another artist.
Yeah. Yeah. That's inspiring because I mean, full transparency, dude, like I have tried to be you, you know? In my sketchbook, I've tried to channel you because way early in my career, I don't know if you're familiar with my early work. It's not really
Mhm.
that prominent on my social media and sort of disappeared off the internet somehow. But I was really into figure and abstract, but I was influenced by Wayne Thiebaud and I was trying to combine like the Barnett Newman sort of classical abstract shapes with figures.
Mhm.
And I never felt, then when I discovered you, I'd already moved past that. Not past. I've already moved, took a sidestep from that to focus on what I'm doing now. But I still love that kind of stuff. And when I discovered you, I thought, oh yeah, that's what I wish I had accomplished when I was doing that. That's that he's done what I wish I was doing, you know? And so since then I've tried to channel you a little bit while still maintaining some dignity and being myself.
Mhm.
And it's freaking hard, man. I can't tell you how many times I've cussed at my sketchbook because I just did something stupid to a really well rendered portrait.
That's where a lot of the fire comes into play too with my work. Um, like a lot of it is like a point where I'm just so frustrated with like not getting it right that I just go for it without like thinking, and then somehow that's how it ends up working, right?
You mean you
When I
go
kind of
for it like lighting on fire, literally lighting on
lighting
fire?
on fire or like just throwing paint at it or just doing that confident mark, right? And just like adapting to it.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, like that's a huge honor for you to say that, man. I really appreciate that. And it was like it's kind of again like a synchronicity, right? Like I remember being in college and looking at your paintings, your portraits. You had like a series of portraits of either like your friends and family, but like people with kind of wearing hoodies.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that series?
Yep. Yep. That
I
was
remember
right
like
at the transition when I was
mhm.
transitioning out of the more colorful stuff and into what I'm doing now.
Yeah, yeah, and that was like really motivational for me because I was taking a bunch of portrait classes and I knew I wanted to be like a portrait artist too, or like kind of
Hmm.
focusing on figure portraits. So I remember just like looking at your paintings all the time and yeah, using that for
Oh, man, I'm
inspiration.
flattered. Yeah. That's funny how the world works. I'm like trying to be you and you're looking at my work at the same
Yeah.
time. That's pretty cool. All right, let me pull up a few others. So what you do everything? You're obviously mixed media primarily because you rarely just have one medium on a piece of work. But you're also sort of dry media slash, well, even your dry media has wet media.
Hmm.
But sometimes you're focused more on drawing and dry media, and other times you're full on painting. Where do you feel like you're most comfortable?
Oh, definitely drawing. Like,
Really?
I'm a really clumsy painter. Even though for me, like that is going to be the end goal of me, like focusing more on paintings. And like, I kind of look at it how like the old masters would spend, 10 years being a draftsman before they started like really becoming painters.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I kind of like visualize my work too. Is like that's why I'm doing mostly mixed media because like this is like the draftsman stage of it. And
Mm-hmm.
then hopefully it's going to turn into like more painting. But for me too, like one of the reasons why I do mixed media is to figure out how to add texture to like a otherwise like very flat image, right? Because like at least with painting, you can add like impasto marks or like add a bunch of different colors and really play with it. But if I'm working on a very limited um, source of material, like just graphite, charcoal, and then like colors to not like offset that too much, I want to add like very minimal changes to it to add in the complexity. Like that's how I have like a big thing for me is leaving it in the hands of the artist visible, right? Like so I have like maybe construction marks or I have like little areas that I erased, but I didn't erase it too much so like it would completely remove it. Because those little things I think add character to the artwork and add more make it more real, I guess.
And you leave all the smudges and fingerprints and
Exactly, yeah.
stuff that I have in the past, but actually artists like yourself, literally you and a few others have taught me that I'm actually hurting myself by being so clean. I need to allow the drawing to just evolve naturally and not constantly cleaning it up.
Hmm.
I just think it does somehow add more interest. In this one, it looks almost like you're digging away with something like a pick or a
Yeah,
nail or
I'll
what
use
is
razor blades in my work a lot too, where I'll take like a razor and like shave it, almost like using it as an eraser.
on paper, on cotton paper.
Hmm.
Really?
But
But
you have
in
to be like
here, it
gentle with
seems
it
like it's
too.
almost arbitrary. It's not like you're scratching out a highlight.
Hmm.
Is it just to create more interest and texture?
Yeah, that, but also like just to diffuse like the beauty of the rendering a little bit too. Like again, like it's like sometimes I get insecure about the rendering of it, where it's like again, if it's too focused on the rendering, it almost feels like vain to me. So I have to do like things to kind of like not make it ugly, but like make it more human, I guess.
I just have to take a minute to thank each one of my generous patrons for your part in keeping this podcast going. I could not continue to do it without you, so thank you so much. If you're not a patron yet, but you love the show and you listen regularly, please consider becoming a patron. It's really easy to do and it doesn't have to break the bank. Just head over to theundrapedartist.com and click on the link Be My Patron on Podbean. And then choose a monthly donation amount that fits your budget. It's that simple. Yeah, I like that previous statement to fuse the rendering. So, do you mean like you've got this sort of rough, gritty, abstract, not this, but these rough, gritty, abstract elements, and then if your drawing is too pristine, it doesn't fit in. It's not one with the
It
rest of the
becomes yeah,
picture.
it becomes too separated, right?
Yeah.
Again, like the whole point is like I'm trying to like combine both into one thing.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it would look really odd. That was a challenge I always had. How do you make a really realistic figure in an abstract background and not have it look like two paintings stuck together?
Mhm.
So that's one of your approaches. Hmm. Man. Let me pull up some others. Okay, so stuff like, God, dude, I don't understand it. Like stuff like this right here. It's so freaking cool.
Mhm.
I guess I'm just going to keep asking the same question. What the is this tape? Is it taped to a wall?
Well, this was for a workshop I did in Sevilla, Spain. So, and this was like one of my demos, which I was teaching the
You
students.
did this in front of people?
Yeah. So this was a demo, and I showed them like the whole process of like from beginning to the abstraction to everything. Um,
What did you do? Just bring a pile of patterned papers with you to the workshop?
I just kind of like went through my my studio and just grabbed, yeah, like you said, like patterns of paper, some pastel, acrylic, graphite, charcoal. What I would normally do in my studio, and then because again,
Wow.
too, like at least with this one, I think I was trying to explain how like abstraction and realism isn't as separate as we think it is. That like these are again just like illusions on paper, right? So if you understand that it's like an illusion, right? Like I'm not drawing a person, I am putting dirt on paper to make it look like a person.
Mm-hmm.
And then like big splotches of paint are also the same idea. Like I'm not trying to paint anything. It's just a splotch of paint on the paper. But if you combine them together, it creates something more, again, like I don't want to get like too like pretentious about it, but like more like profound, I guess, or more emotional.
Well, you
Because
have
like
to believe that or you wouldn't be doing it. So I don't think that's
exactly, right? Like
pretentious, right?
right. So like I know like I always have like this again, like this fear of ego and like entitlement or like getting too full of myself.
Yeah, but you made it really clear that these are your goals, right? So your
Mhm,
goal is to make it more than just Joe laying down on whatever.
mhm,
It's to make it more than that. So when you're in a workshop, I'm trying to, when I go to a workshop, a lot of it is how to make paint look like a person, like
mhm,
how to see shapes, how to see proportion, how to, judge light and form. When you do that, when you do a workshop, you're utilizing all the things that I would teach, but you're
mhm.
also working more conceptually. So what does a workshop look like for you? What are you teaching and where do you focus? Because you got a lot more to teach than I
Mhm.
do. I'm just teaching academics, but you've got a lot more to teach in order to get results like you're getting.
Yeah, it's tough. Because a lot of these workshops, at least this one was like a full week.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are just like 3 days, right? So I have
Mm-hmm.
to like teach them how to render form, how to draw a portrait, how to deconstruct, how to like have the courage to
See,
deconstruct.
the first two things are my whole
Yeah.
workshop.
Hmm.
And now you're adding to that.
Hmm.
So how to deconstruct, sorry to cut you off. What was the last thing you said?
So like one of the exercises I do before we even start drawing is an abstract exercise where I'll just give them paint and I'll give them a word and you have to paint that word without any representation to it. So like for instance, like Jeff, if I asked you to paint humility, what would that look like to you? And you can't use a figure or any like an apple or like nothing out of a representational world. Then
That's
you have to,
cool.
then you have to actually think about it, right? You have to think
Yeah.
about what is humility? What would it look like? If I do a highly rendered picture of someone like saying sorry, is that humility? Because I'm already hiding behind the fact that I can show you how good I am at rendering, right?
Oh,
Um,
so you mean paint not an illustration of humility.
exactly, right?
You're
Like,
literally painting humility.
yes, yeah.
Freak, dude. That's way over my head. Huh. I want to be thinking about that all night. Is that how you approach every painting? Not literally a word, but some sort of a concept that you're trying to paint without illustrating it?
Yeah, for the most part.
Hmm.
And again, like that's why it's like right now, as far as like my break, I'm really trying to think about how do I take this to like the next level, right? Because again, like this was in my 20s. I'm trying to figure out like what am I going to do in my 30s, right? Like what is that work going to look like? Do I continue doing this and just like keep trying to build it, or do I just change it and focus on more
Can
of
you
the
just change it? I mean, if this is truly vulnerable,
Mhm.
what's the, I mean, how much can you really change it? It's not like you can just be a different kind of vulnerable. Vulnerable is just opening up your soul on the paper, right?
Mhm.
And once you've dumped your soul, like, do you have another soul to spare? Like how do you just pivot when that's your
It's
approach to art?
maybe pivot isn't the right word, but it's like how do I again just like take it deeper? And sometimes I feel like even though I really love realism, I think that sometimes it holds me back. Or how can I make the realism more a part of the abstraction in a way too? So
Hmm.
like so like that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like that's why I'm kind of like stuck right now. It's like my little existential crisis, I guess.
Yeah. Well, just between us and everyone listening, I hope you
Mhm.
don't throw away realism. I think that's what, because like I described earlier, it's your the broad spectrum of your skills is like what so makes your work so great.
I guess what I'm trying to say is like, are you familiar with like Anne Gale and like Alex Konevsky?
Yeah, I love them both. I want to get
Right.
them on the podcast someday.
For me, both of them figured out a way to render that's completely unique to them.
Yeah, but it's
And I guess
still
that,
representational, and it's very good representational.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But it's all about like the mark making, right? Like the again, like I like artists where the aesthetic and the meaning are like equal, right? Like there's not like a this and that, right? Like it's very combined.
Yeah,
And I
dude, you're
guess for
too modest,
me,
man. I think you're at the same level as those two.
no, no, not even close.
I disagree, but I mean,
And
that's
then
subjective, right? It is subjective. That's just one guy's opinion, and that's not, you see that as an insult to them. I don't, because I'm not you. I still put them on a pedestal, but you're right up there on the pedestal with them. So I mean, I don't know. I don't see it that way. But man, because I think, when I look at your work, there is a uniqueness. I'm going to find another one of your drawings. There's a uniqueness to the way your drawings look. I mean, nowadays there's so many academic draftsmen out there. They're becoming a dime a dozen. Not that it's still an admirable skill. I'm not knocking it. I still strive for better and better academic skills myself. But you do have a unique approach to it. I wanted to ask you about that, actually, what your approach is. But you have this sort of like combination of serpentine contours with really soft rendering that is somewhat unique to you. In the same way that Ann Gale and Kanefsky, did I say that right? Have their way of making marks. Maybe you're just not satisfied with your own yet.
Again, like I think if I got satisfied that like I hit it in my 20s, I feel like that would be tragic. like there's just
that's
so much
true.
more growth. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Like I would be very sad if like this was the peak of it. And maybe that might be the case, right? Like I'm sure with a lot of artists, if you look at their time span, maybe like one era connects more than other eras of their work, right? But like as far as what you mentioned about like the rendering with like the line work, I've always been attracted to like Japanese artwork where they have like really good line work. And of course I've always been attracted to like more Western rendering of the old masters, right? And that's basically what the work is. It's just things that I love about art and like what I want to see.
So, and you said maybe not pivot. So are you just looking to evolve, take what you've already got and maybe,
that's a better word.
And maybe make it that much better? Yeah. I mean, I can't even imagine what that's going to look like. I can't wait to see it. But it's just,
thank you.
Yeah, man, this stuff is, I don't understand the tape thing. I like it, but I mean, I can't get in your head. Like, why? What?
Like,
I don't,
again, it's
you're
like
not taking this as an insult, are you? Because I love your work.
No. I get it.
Like, why put a piece of tape there? It looks so cool though. But why?
Like the tape, the little burn mark right above that right side of the eye, right?
And the little
the little red dot square. Yeah. Because again, like for me, it's at least for composition, it's more like again like music or like a melody, right? And I want to have like different notes in the song. And if I'm only focusing on the drawing, then it's just one note. It sounds like to me like a drum, just like playing one note over and over again, right? But if I have like a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and like again, it becomes like jazz and like improvisation. And like with the tape too, it goes back towards like the work in progress, like the unfinishedness of it. But if it was finished, it wouldn't look like this, right? It wouldn't have this kind of vulnerability to it, right? So like if I finished it, it wouldn't be what it is now, which is what connects more to me, right? And like that makes me think more about like the process. I think too, I was listening to one of your podcasts, and you're talking about how like with your work, and I understand like you're focused on like the end result of it, right? But for me, the result happens through the process of it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. We're two different species in a way, which is unfortunate for me a little bit. But but you know what you keep on referring to music, and you know what occurred to me? Have you ever seen on, I can't remember where I've seen it, probably YouTube. I'm like a YouTube addict. But there's a handful of musicians, mostly drummers. And I'm thinking of one offhand where he makes instruments with his drum set. Like he'll take like a car spring, or like, I'm not a mechanic, but like the springs on a car, the shocks or whatever. Or he'll take like just like a spatula or spoons or just random objects, and he'll turn them into instruments. And dude, it's magical. Like the music he plays with this stuff, but he also incorporates it with traditional instruments, usually a drum set. And oh my gosh, I wish I could find this guy. I probably couldn't do it legally anyway on the podcast. I don't know
Sure.
how that
Yeah.
works, but it just occurred to me with your analogy. That's what you're the visual version of this guy
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
guys like this, where you're just like, no, I know painters think or painters and draftsmen for centuries think and have utilized or think that you only utilize, graphite, charcoal paint, and if we get really crazy, we might mix paint and graphite, but we don't use tape and clear acetate and wallpaper. Like that's not art materials.
Mhm.
But you're like this musician that's like, whatever, man, I'll play music with a rock and a
Exactly. Yeah.
feather, like if it works.
It's like I had a teacher uh in school who told me like don't think of yourself as like a painter, don't think of yourself as like, a draftsman, like an illustrator. Think of yourself as like a creative, right? And when you
Hmm.
think of yourself that way, it just like opens up the boundaries, Because
Hmm.
like I'm not stuck to only using dry medium. I'm not stuck to only using wet medium. It's just whatever I want to do with it.
So no rules.
Mhm.
It could be anything. You could literally put your dinner on the paper, spaghetti sauce, whatever, and it's still art.
I've used coffee before. I've like used my shoe. I would like step on it. Like whatever I need to do to like create texture.
Really?
Mhm.
So how much do you think about display when you're working on these? Because of the last couple we've looked at, they've been photographed against a wall, or in this case, it looks like cardboard. I don't know if that cardboard is part of the painting or part of the work.
It was like because like outside of that border of the image, there's the frame to it,
Okay,
right?
so
So
do you generally float these things?
yeah, most of the times.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense.
I think there's one I have there where it's like a drawing of arms with like a
Should I go up or down?
probably down,
Down. And
but
just to show your academic skills,
yeah, that
man.
was in college.
And that was like 15 years ago or something.
Yeah, I got first place for that drawing, which was really cool.
Man, dude. I mean, you can see that in all of your work, but for all the atelier junkies out there, like he's got the chops, like right, the academic chops. The arms. It's so funny how familiar this thing is to me. It's like one of my kids now.
Yeah,
Let me know if and when I pass it.
there.
Are these all your wife or several of
Yeah,
these? Okay.
yeah. Those are. My wife is like almost like at least 70% of my work on there.
That's too cool, man.
Uh, well, I mean, I guess if you want to explore the page, they'll find it. Like, oh, that's the one right there. Go up on the right side. Um, so like I framed that in a floater frame, so like you could have like a cast shadow of the burn mark against the backing of the frame.
Hmm.
Um, and I have one of it like actually framed, which really shows it well, but that is the image though.
Yeah, that's really cool. Hmm. And then stuff like this.
Hmm.
Obviously, you posted it, so you all agree that it's a successful piece. It's so simple, and
Like,
it's like, but that's what's beautiful about it.
mhm.
Is now you've put this or this little red square in a few things. Is there something to that?
That's just kind of like how I write my name on my artwork, I guess.
That's your signature?
Yeah.
No joke. Can you zoom in and actually see a signature in there, or is that
No, no,
literally
it's
it?
just a square. Because again, like
Huh.
it's like I don't want to say like it's like a signature, but it's just something that I think I read somewhere where like a lot of Eastern art, you need to have like a little bit of a red in it for like
Yeah.
luck. So like that's what I do, I guess.
Yeah, like that's cool. But don't you sign it also? Like literally sign it
Yeah, on the back though.
on the back?
Mhm.
Okay, from a business perspective, I was told, and I'm not correcting you, you got to do what feels right to you, right?
Mhm.
But when I first started out, I was told by a museum director who's really respected here in Utah. His name's Vern Swanson. He told me that my signature, which was on all my works, wasn't
Mhm.
legible enough, and that you need to make sure your signature is legible because your paintings are your biggest marketing tool. It would in his mind, it would be like if I was the creator of a soft drink and it tastes really delicious, but it was in a plain white can and didn't have a name on it or a logo. So if anyone drank it, they drank it, they wouldn't know where to get it again. They don't even know what it's called. They could love it more than any other drink, but they don't even know what it's called. So have you considered that as a possible problem as far as a professional
Again,
artist?
I probably should consider it. I probably should.
I'm just wondering, and again, it's not a critique, but I
for me,
literally
it's
started. I'll tell you this, and this is again, I'm not here to tell you how to run your career because you're, in my opinion, you should be telling me. But like, I have noticed that since my signatures become more legible, a lot of people have come to me based on seeing a painting somewhere and literally reading my name, and that's the only way they found me. Was by reading my name on a painting. And then I'll get a message from them say, I saw your painting here, read the signature. Can I get a print or whatever? You know, I don't do prints, so it never pays off. But let's just say it was you and I did a bunch of paintings in a year. I do one painting a year. You know, it could potentially be really beneficial to me.
Again, it's like one of those things where it's like something in me is just like, I cannot embrace like marketing and myself.
Yeah, and I know.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just like, for me, the signature should be the style, right? Like, I want people to look at it and be like, oh, I know who did that painting. Right. But again, like they don't, of course,
The people who
know.
already know you do, but what about the new people?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your point, right? But again,
Yeah.
like I guess I'm focusing on that first part too much, but
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's your call. I mean, but it has affected who knows my work. Man, I just want to buy all these, dude. How many of these are still around?
oh, not many.
I didn't think so.
I've got like a couple in like galleries sitting around, but most of them are gone.
That's great. That's seriously great. Well, let's go back up to your paintings. You got a lot more paintings at the top. Look at some of those. So I've asked this question of a lot of people that do various mediums. And when I say various mediums, I mean like painting one day, drawing another. You do various mediums in the same day, but you do sometimes focus on mostly painting and other times focus on mostly mixed media. When you see one of these images in your mind, does the medium choice, okay, so here's a painting. Let's see, here's a cool painting. So when you see these images in your mind, is whether or not it should be a painting or mixed media very clear to you right off the bat?
Yeah,
it is.
100%.
So you know exactly what you're doing that day. The picture tells you everything.
Because like with the paintings, it's more about like the shapes, I guess, like the composition of it. So with drawings, it's more about like the focus on the time of like the rendering, right? But for this one, it's more focused on the play and how I like my spatial awareness, I guess, for the painting.
Yeah. Do you ever tackle the same subject with both approaches? Dry media and painting?
I've tried, but I've always failed.
Yeah, because
Like
they are
every time,
really different. That's why I wondered that.
yeah.
They're really different.
Every time I've tried it, it doesn't work.
You say that the paintings are more about shape, but to me, the paintings have more atmosphere. In other words, you're creating a space in the paintings that I don't think I've seen in your mixed media. Like this one is like a dining room space. There is a lot of shape to it, but it's three-dimensional. It suggests three-dimensionality, where usually your drawing mixed media stuff is all on the surface other than the three-dimensionality of the particular form, right? That's not a space.
With the I guess with the drawings, there's like more of that openness to it, right?
Right. Yeah. There's no space there. There's no room.
Yeah.
There's no, yeah. So why is that? Is that a conscious choice? Or is
Yeah,
that maybe
because,
something I just made up and not even true? No, it is true. There's no,
like again, like It's just, I guess I want to embrace the material that I'm working in, and like with drawing, the material is the paper. So I want to like highlight the paper too.
Hmm.
Um, that's why a lot of my pieces have a lot of the white empty space around it. Because then, like for me, it's also like the focus, like part of the meaning of it is like the process of making it. And the process is I'm working on paper, and if I try to completely fill up the image, then it kind of takes away from the material too. That I'm working on paper and I want to show that this is like the open space of it, but also it's like I want to kind of contrast the rendering with the minimalism of it, like the empty space highlights the rendering and the rendering highlights the empty space.
Yeah. Is it just me or the rest of you guys also get weirdly excited when you order new paint? Because I don't know about you, but when I get paint in the mail, it feels like Santa just dropped my Christmas presents off at my doorstep. With Vasari paint, my paint of choice and the podcast sponsor, it's even more exciting. And let me show you why. Because when Vasari shows up, it comes in this incredible box where each tube lays in this little compartment perfectly formed around the tube in this nice soft foam. And it's surrounded by velvet, red velvet. Now you got to ask yourself, if a paint comes so carefully protected and surrounded by red velvet, you got to wonder if this paint is worthy of royalty. It is. Vasari is. So if you haven't tried Vasari, you're seriously missing out. And the thing about Vasari, it's not only the best paint out there, it's also made by an incredible company that's been around for 30 years and knows its customer by name. Do yourself a favor, go to vasaricolors.com and order yourself some for your next painting. That makes sense. And actually with paint, you can technically, let me pull up another example here. I just pulled that one up. Let me see, where's a good one that makes my point. Sorry to the viewers who are getting car sick right now. Me flipping around. All right, I'll go back to this one. So if you were to do this, if you were to try and create space on paper, I suppose you could do it with mixed media. You could use like acrylic to get these big shapes, these big planes that are suggesting space.
Mm-hmm.
But you couldn't do it with graphite without, which I think is what you're suggesting, without too much rendering and letting the paper and not honoring the paper as part of the composition.
I think like too is like there's like a material difference when I'm like trying to do that much paint on a piece of paper, right? Like it starts to get waxy and wavy. It really starts to contrast the rendering, right? And like I mentioned earlier, then it starts to become like these two separate elements, uh,
Yeah.
which I can't combine. I figured like if I were to maybe ever do like a painting style with my mixed media, it would have to be in like colored pencil.
Okay. To get these big washes of, or big zones of color.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Yeah, but on mine that I bought from you, you did it on illustration board mounted on panel.
Mm-hmm.
That you can't do big acrylic open spaces with that.
I've tried, but just somehow again like I'm a clumsy painter, so a lot of times like the paint starts to get pretty thick in a way that I don't like how it disrupts like the flatness of the drawing.
Right.
Right?
Okay. So the medium really is sort of driving the show a little bit or running the show a little bit. Yeah, this one is excellent. I don't get it. Like you just completely blew her head off,
Mhm.
but it's still so interesting. So when you visualize something like this in your head, this to me feels like there's got to be a narrative. It can't just be an emotion you're trying to get. There's not, in this case, there's no narrative at all, or say the dining room table one, there's no narrative at all here.
I guess the narrative is just like vulnerable moments,
Okay. So it's a
high
very
moments.
loose, open narrative.
Yeah, yeah. Like that's why I draw like people sleeping or people eating.
Mm-hmm.
people like that. Last one, like just a figure sitting in their room, maybe waking up, right? Just like moments where we're vulnerable and kind of like more present, I guess.
And when you create something like this, what's your process? Are you setting up a photo shoot? Do you find particular models that fit the image in your head, or do you just use anybody? Or I mean, how particular are you?
It's a mixture of both, right? Because again, like with my paintings, again, like I'm not too focused on like the perspective and the lighting, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, so a lot of times I'm taking like multiple images, or like I'm taking an image and then adding in a model that I'll take a photo of and like mix it together, right? Whether that's myself or my wife or my mom or whoever it may be.
Mm-hmm. Is that your mom there?
Uh, it might have been.
Hmm.
That was the older one. I can't remember what the process was for that, but I think that one was like maybe multiple images.
So tell me about this one. How did this one evolve?
Um, this one started off with a portrait that came out pretty nice, and because it became so nice, I got stuck. Like
Huh.
it's just becoming like a portrait, I guess an academic portrait. And so for me, it's like I had to figure out how to break that up so it could become something more than just like a an academic portrait. Uh, Using again like ideas about like rhythm and melody and adding in like some of the greenery on the side and then covering it, shifting with like ideas of like space and like atmosphere, using the skin tone. Or I think I kind of did oil paint and I used oil pastel over it to kind of again break up the face to
Hmm.
create textures that I wanted to feel like mix the rendered form with more gestural marks.
Yeah.
And again, like having this combination is what starts to create something that feels, I don't know, like I could connect more with. It feels like more honest than me just doing like, again, like I'm bad at, I guess, my usage of words, but because I don't want to say like artwork that doesn't follow this isn't honest or like dishonest, right? Strictly speaking about myself and like how I view work. Um, but like I want to create something that feels more authentic to me.
So did you ever play sports?
I wasn't allowed to.
What? Why?
Again, I was a pretty bad kid, so I was always on academic probation.
No, no,
So
no. Just like in the neighborhood. Like, did you ever like any sports? Did you ever just shoot around in the neighborhood or whatever? I mean, were you ever
I
into
did,
any
yeah, I
sports?
did like yeah, growing up, I was like doing like little league baseball. I did like wrestling for a year.
Okay.
I mean, now like I cycle all the time, so
Okay. The reason I was wondering is because it's been really interesting talking to you and trying to understand how you tick. And to me, I imagine if you were on a basketball team, that you would be a passer, not a shooter. And the reason why is because you would care more about winning the game than showing off, than being the scorer.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Am I right with that?
Yeah, yeah.
And because a lot of people, it's really tempting. I'm one of these people that's it's really tempting to just show off your skills or show off my skills and be like, look what I can do.
Mhm.
And you are exactly the opposite. You're like, I don't care if people know that I can draw well or if I'm academically gifted. What matters is that this painting is successful. And that's it.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Like that's what I'm trying to say. So
Yeah.
yeah, you nailed it.
But that's interesting. It's interesting how you became that way. I mean, I don't understand because I would say it's not that common. I think most human beings want the world to see what they're good at or but you seem so disinterested in that. You're just like, I don't care. I don't care what people think. I just want this painting to be the way it needs to be.
Hmm.
Do you have any insight as to how you ended up that way?
Um, I probably would go back to like Catholic school, I guess. Like even though I'm not a religious person, I think Catholic school made me like face my mortality a lot. And I think a lot of, growing up Catholic, it teaches you a lot about humility and like humbleness, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't escape it, even though I tried really hard to. Like it just it got stuck to me, right? Um, so I guess that's how I approach the work too. Like I don't want it to feel vain. I
I don't
want it
know,
to
man. I don't buy
feel
that. I know a lot of religious people, including myself, that don't. There's got to be something else. Maybe it's genetics.
I don't know, like or
But
something in me like just always defiant, maybe. I don't know.
yeah, I wonder. I wonder if you getting beaten up by your teachers and feeling like scared to death that if you don't work your butt off after you graduate from high school and got into college, like put you in a mindset that, oh, I'm already trash, so like I don't, what do I have to prove? I just got to work and just to survive in this world. And so you literally were stripped of your ego at a young age, maybe because everyone gave you so much crap all the time.
My dad's pretty good at it too.
Yeah.
But like in a funny way. Um like whenever I like got a little too grew a big head, he would definitely know how to like keep me grounded.
Yeah, and there's two ways to react to that. There's one way is to be overly um show off, like just go completely opposite direction. Like I have to prove to the world that I'm not trash.
Mhm.
And the other is to be like, well, you know what? I've got a good life and I've never needed people to tell me I'm great. Like things are good and I've never needed that. It's never happened really that much. And things are good. So I like where I'm at. This is okay not having to show off all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
I would
wonder.
agree with that too. I think like my parents both had like really hard lives. My grandparents even more so.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's like I put them on such a high pedestal where it's like I can never be as strong as they are. So if I mess up this artwork, it's not a big deal because again, like I'm healthy, my parents are healthy, I have a good home, I'm married. Like there's all these things I could focus on more than me kind of worrying like, oh, this artwork, is ugly or people aren't gonna like it or it's not gonna sell. Like I don't worry about that too much. I just want to have it be like this free expression, I guess.
That's awesome, man. You should you should start like some sort of church to how to be a good artist. That'd be awesome. Where you could teach people how to have the right attitude toward it. I love that. Huh.
But I'll also say too, like it wasn't always like that too.
It wasn't?
There are definitely days where again like the ego gets the better of me and like I could tell when it happens because I can't make good art when it happens.
Yeah, but how many people in the world are not even aware that they have a huge ego?
A lot.
A lot. It's at least it seems that way looking from the outside. I guess we can't really get in anyone's mind, but it sure
It's
seems
like
that way.
because again like I spent most of my 20s like literally isolated like a hermit. Um I was listening to your podcast with Odd Nerdrum, which was really cool.
Yeah, that was wild.
But like I guess his last statement kind of like hit what I was
Forget the
doing in my
world.
20s. Forget the world. Yeah, yeah.
Just 3 words.
Yep,
And
forget
I
the
was
world.
just left there going, okay, there you
Or-
go. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot to that, right?
Mhm.
Forget the world. And he addressed it earlier in the podcast because I listen
Yeah.
to the podcasts often back because as I'm talking to you, um, I'm partially concerned about getting enough information out of you
Mhm.
that I find that not because it's my job, but because I'm curious. So while I'm absorbing what you're saying, I'm also thinking, ooh, but I also want to know this. So it helps
Mhm.
me to listen back so then I can listen more carefully to your answers and get even more
Mhm.
out of it, But when I listen back to he really addressed that early on where he really tried to emphasize that he doesn't give a crap about what the world thinks of him. He doesn't want to go to shows. He doesn't
Mhm.
want to be in parties. He doesn't want to play that stupid game. And then at the end, he's just forget the world. It's
Mhm.
got nothing for you. I'm like, dang.
That was cold.
Yeah, that's pretty much sums
Um,
it up.
But even like going back to Agnes Martin too, like her saying was paint with your back towards the world. And like
Mm-hmm.
again, like just like artists who think like that, I really connect with.
Yeah. Yeah, that really is good advice. Huh.
Yeah, like when I listen to her interviews, like she's like so profound, like so wise. It's almost like I learn a lot, but there's a part of me that's like, hey, no spoilers, dude. Like I wanted to figure that out. Like you kind of like ruined that that treasure for me.
Mm-hmm. I need to get her on the podcast.
I think yeah, she might have passed away, unfortunately.
Oh, really? Oh, that's too
Yeah.
bad. That's too bad. Well, speaking of advice, we've been at this an hour and a half. So can you believe that? For me, it went fast. But I'm curious
Yeah, me
what
too.
what your final piece of advice would be. What advice would you give an aspiring artist that you wish you had maybe, or that you did have and was really valuable to you?
Mm, I guess like the one that stuck with me, like in school, was paint what you want to see in the world. Like make the artwork you want to see in the galleries because that's what's going to inspire you and that's what's going to be authentic.
Yeah, that's true. Instead of what you think is going to sell, paint what
Exactly.
you want to see or what you want to buy. That's the way I've often phrased it. I try and
Mhm.
paint what I want to have in my house.
Exactly. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I try to.
Yeah, me too.
That's the that's the tricky part. Anyway, dude, it's been so great to talk to you, man.
Yeah,
Seriously.
you too, Jeff.
It's such an honor to finally meet you. And
Likewise, man.
yeah, I was going to say in the flesh, but not quite, but pretty close.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Pretty close.
The
So,
digital flesh.
yeah, I hope to meet you in person sometime. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, thanks again for doing it.
Yeah, likewise, man. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Undraped Artist Podcast. If you enjoyed it, subscribe. And if you could, leave a comment or review. That really helps the channel. Please share the show with your friends, and if you're feeling generous, consider a monthly donation at theundrapedartist.com. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next week.